Honorable Minister Kamal Nath, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 5th KPMG Infrastructure Today Awards. Today's events is a culmination of more than 4 months exercise carried out by KPMG and SF Media to evaluate the best performers in the infrastructure sector through a fair and credible process. Just to elaborate the process of selecting the awards, we carried out first an online perception study by stakeholders in the infrastructure sector. So it was an evaluation of peers by peers. So therefore a tough process of nomination, and then followed up by outstanding panel of jury who evaluated the research done by KPMG on the potential nominees and helped to select the final winners. I would like to next take up the opportunity to sort of thank the jury members who spared their time to make this fairly important process in a fairly difficult year for the infrastructure sector. And also tell you a little bit about my initial thoughts in terms of how the year has been in terms of this infrastructure story. It was the second difficult year after several years of growth of the infrastructure sector. And in that context, the sector has associated it with itself with significant pessimism amongst the major infrastructure developers. But if you look at it in another way, I do strongly believe that there is a significant opportunity which remains to be executed in terms of the investments which are required in the infrastructure sector. I just want to touch upon 3 quick segments of the infrastructure story: the power sector, the road sector, and the urban infrastructure sector. The power sector, after was a sector which has faced a significant number of challenges, but the government has started to get its act together in addressing some of the challenges from a fuel sector, as well as addressing issues associated with the distribution sector, which was creating significant challenges in terms of the sentiment of the sector. I do believe with the pooling of the imported coal as well as domestic coal, if that becomes a reality, we should see significant impetus in addressing some of the fuel challenges, particularly with reference to some of the projects which are there in terms of the pipeline. Also, we've seen significant improvements in the tariffs in recent months, and hopefully that should improve the financial health of the sector, along with the actions which have been taken in terms of the debt restructuring of the state discoms. So hopefully these are steps which will improve the sector's sentiment going forward. Still, it's something which more needs to be done in the sector, but I think some progress has been made. The road sector, which has been chugging along much more successfully, particularly when Mr. Nath was in charge of the sector, has seen much more headwinds in the recent past, and we've seen slowing in terms of financial closure of several projects. Some projects actually, some major projects, marquee projects actually under dispute. So, the government does need to re-look at the sector in terms of addressing some of the issues associated with the sector, as well as addressing land acquisition and environmental issues. And to my mind, actually, looking at some of the other models which are there in US and Canada from an availability-based approaches would also be something which can help potentially address some of the problems of the sector. Lastly, on the urban infrastructure, I know that it's probably it's a sector, it is an emerging sector, and the sector which is very much a challenge for the future, as in the next 2 decades, more than 50% of India will be in the cities. There will be more than 90 cities with 1 million population, and we do need many more ambitious projects at the Delhi-Mumbai Industrial Corridor, which can help create greenfield cities from scratch, using the best of technologies and in a sustainable manner, while addressing some of the problems of the major existing cities. And I'm sure, basically, the urban Infrastructure Development Ministry is conscious of this and will be taking steps to help address some of those challenges. Lastly, I just want to touch on the financing issues which are impacting the sentiment of the sector. And, government has in the last year tried to address some of them through the creation of the infrastructure debt funds, which hopefully some of them will get financing over the next few months, and we'll see some action in that respect. The creation of the National Infrastructure, National Investment Board for infrastructure is also another step in the right direction, and hopefully that will address some of the large projects, some of the issues associated with very large projects, particularly the inter-ministerial issues and ensuring speedy clearances on that. So my final message is one of cautious optimism. I do strongly believe that while the sector is facing challenges today, as we will see in the success stories of some of the companies which are getting the awards, we see that there are islands of excellence at the project level, at the company level, at the state level, and in several central government department level, as well as in terms of some of the financing levels. We really need to replicate these success stories and make sure that we multiply them while addressing some of the challenges. I hope all of you have a very pleasant evening, and thank you again.